located at 7800 Central Avenue in Landover, Maryland. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we have dedicated at least the first 2 weeks of October to just doing lessons, presentations, to at least make the audience aware of the seriousness of domestic violence and how widespread it is in communities, in the workplace, and sadly but true, even in Christian families. What we'll do today is address the abuser's distorted mentality. Uh, and also, as we talk about the abuser, we can't help but also talk about the abused. Uh, a question came in yesterday regarding, so why does the abused stay in the relationship? Well, in order to answer that question, you have to understand the dynamics of what takes place between the abuser and the abused. Abusers victim, or they victimize others to reassure themselves of their faulty view of self worth. And as we discussed on yesterday, abusers victimize others due to their own personal seared feelings from others. So no empathy for you because nobody has ever shown empathy for me. Uh, Here's some challenges in leaving abuse. Staying in abuse creates frustration in the heart of the abused and those who love, support, and even make attempts to rescue the abuser or the abused from the abuser. Uh, so, staying in abuse creates frustration in the heart of the person who's being abused. Uh, it's also frustrating to those who love and support and make attempts to rescue the abused. The person who is being abused is saying basically, nobody knows this person the way I know the person. Nobody's gone through the good times. See, that's the operative, the good times with this same person who's abusing me in the bad times. So, the answer to why it is difficult for the abused to exit quickly has to some degree all or at least some of the following components mixed in. Uh, there's a psychological thing that has happened. Uh, the person is struggling with, but the person is a good person. The person has been good to me at times. Uh, have you heard people say, boy, when it's good, it's good. But then when things go bad, it's really bad. Uh, when we talk about courtship and getting to know people, you hear people use the old phrase, getting inside their head. Well, that happens even in an abusive relationship. The abuser has gotten inside the head, the mind of the abuser, of the abused. And it is hard for the abused individual to sort this person out of all of the good they've done. This person is really not good for me. So they get into the mind of the individual physiologically. Uh, People will kind of struggle with leaving because, you know, I'm just not the type person who wants to be by myself. Uh, Physiologically, I wasn't made to be by myself. And you know, God said it's not good for a person to be alone. Uh, you know, God said it's better to marry than to burn. Uh, you know, you just talked a few weeks ago about this season of holidays and darkness coming quicker. And I'm just one of those people that I just don't know physiologically how my body's going to adjust to my abuser not being around. So that becomes a real challenge sociologically. You know, we've been accustomed to being a couple, uh, you know, the appearance of it. We go places together. Look at all of the vacations we've been on, going out to dinner, driving around, walking through the park, going to the pumpkin patch, going to the plays. So sociologically, uh, I, I don't know if I'm ready to give that up. Although I know this person can be mean and cruel, and that this person can hurt me. In fact, this person has hurt me. But one of the challenging challenges in leaving the abuse is the person is also processing basically the appearance, the interactions those two people have had publicly, the guests they've had in their home, the trips they've been on together. Another challenge with leaving abuse are the economics of it. Uh, you know, this person is an abusive person. They curse at me, they scream at me, they hit me, they leave me by myself, but they are great providers. They pay the bills. I couldn't afford this car. I couldn't afford this home. The shopping trips. I helped my family out. But the person is a bad person in terms of all of the other components. But boy, when it comes to making sure we have what we need in this house, oh, Joe is a good guy. Well, that's a challenge that a person faces when leaving someone, just the sheer economics of it. The relational component. You know, I put a lot of years in this marriage. You see, all of these things, I helped do that. Let me show you this room that we built together. Let me show you this yard, this garden that we did together. We raised these children together. We worked through this and that. See, the relational piece, that becomes a challenge in leaving an abusive relationship. Is because individuals will get locked in to the relationship, the historical relationship, the good parts of the relationship, the things we've accomplished together, pieces of the relationship. Another challenge in leaving is the spiritual component. Well, you know, God hates divorce. If it was if this wasn't for God, I don't believe God would have put us together. God don't make any mistakes, and I don't believe God made a mistake when He brought this person into my life. So we spiritualize it, and in terms of how we've spiritualized it, it's our way of coping with this person is really not a good person. This person is a very abusive person. This person has harmed me. This person is likely to harm me again. but we will allow the spiritualization of it to cause us to stay in an abusive situation. Um, Now, let's talk about connecting with the abuser. And this frustrates people from the outside looking in. In relationships over time, individuals began to develop certain positive feelings toward the abuser. Things as simple as yesterday he or she cursed and hit me, but today I was asked if I needed something to eat. The abused might also begin rationalizing. He or she is just trying to express their feelings. I mean, don't we all do the same thing just differently? So, what happens at a very unhealthy level, the abused is connecting to the abuser. And the abused will become the defender, the staunch defender of the abuser. This is best seen as a coping tool for the abused to better navigate the chaos of the abuser. In other words, if I can get the abuser to see that I'm on his side or her side, then they won't abuse me as much. They won't be as hard on me. And I can see this is really helping, because yesterday they were really, really abusive. But today they were concerned about if I've eaten anything. And we all have bad days. And all they're trying to do is express their feelings, their hurts, their uncertainties about life. I mean, they're expressing it inappropriately, but you've got to admit, none of us are perfect. Let him that is without sin cast the first stone. But that is a coping tool. We're just trying to tell ourselves that it's going to be okay. And finally, in response to the question that was asked in terms of why the abused stay, you say, what? The outsiders looking in. What are you doing to yourself? Why are you subjecting yourself to this humiliation, this torture? Well, back in 1973, two men robbed a bank in Stockholm, Sweden. They held four individuals hostage for about 6 days. Following the hostages being released and the bank robbers being carted off to jail, all four of the hostages refused to testify against the robbers. Following the release of all four hostages, they also began raising money to help in the robbers' defense. I'm not making this story up. Because of the hostages' abnormal response, mental health professionals coined the phrase Stockholm Syndrome as a way to explain how hostages develop a mental and emotional and somewhat of an empathetic love, hate, resentment toward their captors. Mental health professionals were saying, what in the world is going on? Relationship counselors were saying, what in the world is going on? Family and loved ones What in the world is going on? Well, in 1973, following that bank robbery in Sweden, people said, oh, this is what's going on. The abused has developed sort of an affinity for the abuser. They still hate them, but I kind of love them. They still resent what they've done to them and what they are doing to them. But I could still feel that person's heart. Come back tomorrow and I will explain in much detail the Stockholm Syndrome. The victim develops positive feelings toward the person holding them captive or abusing them. The victim develops negative feelings toward the police, authority figures, and anyone who might be trying to help them get away from their captor. They may even refuse to cooperate. The victim begins to perceive their captor's humanity and believe they all have the same goals and values. And it's all to no good. It never ends right. Come back to class tomorrow and I will explain in great detail the psychology behind the Stockholm Syndrome. Now, the syndrome was there before it ever became Stockholm. Domestic violence, domestic abuse has been around far, far longer than 1973. But the principles that began to be seen in 1973, they're still the same in domestic violence, in domestic abuse today. I will see you back in class again tomorrow. As a matter of fact, today is Wednesday. So be sure to tune in tonight to our midweek Bible study beginning at 7 o'clock with devotional singing. And then at 7:30, we will begin our Bible class. And I hope everyone will be able to tune in. I'll see you back in class again tomorrow. Don't be late and don't skip class.